All right. Well, if you're just joining us, welcome to the Q&A portion of our webinar on identifying next generation talent. I'm Kirby Sneen here with Jim Doyle. Jim, thanks for joining me.
Great to be here, Kirby.
So excited to get into our questions
Me too.
and ask you about a handful of things. I want to talk to you about experience versus potential, the leadership gap, what's behind it, how to prioritize cultural fit over disruptive potential, all that. But before I get into that, I know that you see manufacturers often confuse kind of technical skills with leadership potential. What do you think is behind that? Why is that the case so often?
You know, Kirby, that's a great opening question. And one of the reasons I chose to do some benchmarking with baseball is that the position of player, if you look at a player dressed in the uniform, they can have the uniform, the hat, the right number, they can go through the motions, have a great windup. And to the untrained eye, someone might say, well, that person's a really good pitcher. But in fact, what they're good at is they're a good thrower. And there's a distinction, Kirby, between being a good thrower who's got high velocity, questionable control, and a pitcher who not only has good velocity, acceptable velocity, but they're masterful at control as well. They can put the ball where they want it to go. And they really are thinking as well as having skills. And I think in business, sometimes what we do is we confuse the two. We can look at someone, and I see this all the time in workshops, they were an outstanding SME, subject matter expert, promoted into a job that they tried doing that new job as a leader, as a manager, with individual contributor, no matter how excellent skills. And that oftentimes is a recipe for that person not making it.
Right. You know, I often see a version of that too, where they think, well, you were motivated to get results for yourself as an individual contributor. You'd be motivated to get results for the team, right?
Right.
Sometimes that's true. Sometimes it's not.
And in our fundamentals of supervision, we have a tool, one of many, that helps people sort out that. What are my key preferences? And it's a snapshot in time. But if I understand what are my preferences, am I really someone who likes to be rewarded for performance and getting the job done? Or am I a person who likes building a team? Now, one is not better than the other. We need both. But as I said in that thrower and pitcher analogy, they're distinctive. And if you're trying to build a team and work with other people, then wanting rewards for your own individual performance and contribution may be at odds with that.
What do you think is rewarded more in industry, or what are you seeing in training as you deliver it? Individuals and teams getting rewarded more for experience or for potential, and then why?
I would put under the umbrella of experience, Kirby, performance. Do you make the numbers? Do you know our customers? Do you know our business? That's all really important and weighed heavier, I think, than potential. It's hard to assess potential. It's a little easier to assess skills and demonstrated competence, but we need both.
We do. How, just to go a little bit deeper here, how do you think someone, if they wanted to, could assess potential? So I think about like inquisitiveness. Is someone asking questions? Are they interested in something? I think that kind of behavior demonstrates potential to go deeper into whatever it may be. And they could develop skills in that area. Anything else you think like that could be indicative of seeing potential in someone?
I think, Kirby, you've hit the key when you talked about being inquisitive. I think it is difficult sometimes to assess really potential because, after all, potential is a result of an individual's aspirations. If I don't know what your aspirations are, how can I possibly help you get there? How do I create an environment that will help you? I may do things in a vacuum thinking I'm helping you, but that's not where you want to go. So I think the leader of today and the leader of the future is someone who invests time in getting to know their people, and they are very inquisitive. They work hard at building trust. They work hard at understanding where are your goals, where do you want to go, what can I do to help you get there?
Love it. Okay, I want to talk to you about the leadership gap. I believe that there is a leadership gap in manufacturing. There is demand for more leaders. And so I wanted to ask you about whether or not you think there is one as well. What are you seeing? And then what do you think there are? Are the future leaders not there? Or do you think current leaders just aren't willing to let go? Like, what do you think's behind it?
It's a combination, I think, of both. And I think a lot of it has to do with organizational culture and what does the company stand for and believe in. We heard it in spades at the uh, ceremonies the other day.
Yeah.
All three of the winners had elements of a culture that says we believe in people more than just a tagline that says people are our most important asset.
Mm-hmm.
So I think companies today are under financial pressure to make their numbers, to look good on a financial sheet, to be really positive on their call with stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
In smaller privately held companies, the fact of the matter is the owners may not have the money, the extra money to invest in people. If you're not investing in developing somebody, it's like in quality. If it's not written down and documented, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, the same thing is true in business. If you don't have a developmental plan that's more than just written down, it's actually implemented, it's followed up, it lives in the day-to-day behaviors of people, that's the difference.
Okay, so I want to ask a follow-up here too. For those that don't have the funding to invest in current leaders or acquire leaders, I think they should raise their prices. That's one of many ways, and I think a lot of manufacturers can and should do that. I'm seeing a lot of that. But there's another facet to this, another like barrier for those that are those current leaders hanging on to and not willing to let go. To create space and opportunity for future leaders. What do you think would be helpful for them so they can learn to let go?
Well, the first thing I would advise them to do is to buy a membership with Manufacturers Alliance to be able to tap into the vast suite of services and products that you have.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think everybody has to give voice to what's important to them. And if I really believe strongly in something, I think that leader has to go to their manager, their supervisor, and say, hey, on a fact basis, we're doing okay here. But if we don't backfill key people, key roles, and continually develop and grow people, all of our top people are going to be targets for somebody else to come in and steal them away. Then we've got to replace talent. So why not be proactive all the way back when McKinsey wrote their original white paper on the war for talent?
Yeah.
That's very much going on today. And there's a lot of guerrilla warfare out there. And we know that from an engagement perspective, the vast share of employees are at least passively disengaged. And that says, hey, my boss doesn't know me, doesn't get me. There's no development plan. And we know, Kirby, that the high valued feedback point from engagement seminars is I'm not feeling used, developed, and my talents aren't being deployed the best that they could be. So I'm going someplace else, even for maybe less money, where I see a pathway to something bigger and better.
Yeah, the quiet quitting turns into I'm actually gone.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I appreciate your additional thoughts on that one. What do you think? Should current leaders prioritize cultural fit in terms of development or disruptive potential and where to invest their time? What do you think?
Yeah, I think Jim Collins had it right in Built to Last when he talked about the genius of the and. I think the and proposition here is that it's really important that we have the right people in the right seats who understand the values on the bus, and that's the whole fit.
Okay.
However, sometimes we know in any sports team, the manager's voice begins to wear on people and the players are no longer listening. So maybe a disruption makes sense. But you got to be careful with that the disruption doesn't turn into cancer, that we don't bring somebody in from a culture and then that person brings a lot of other people in from the culture and suddenly we no longer have our culture, we've got somebody else's culture.
Last question for you then. How do you think manufacturers could avoid the whole like check the box training program that's just canned and really develop something that's a good fit for them so that they can invest in those future leaders, the emerging potential, the next generation.
I'm going to go back to the words we heard again from our various 3 award winners as they took the stage to accept their reward at the manufacturers meeting of the year. Sorry,
The award ceremony.
the award ceremony. There you go, Kirby.
Yes.
That's why we make a great team. We
Yes.
play off each
I
other.
got you.
The leaders there spoke exactly to what you are speaking of. We're committed to developing people. We're committed to attracting people to our company that are not only just a good fit skill-wise, but they kind of dig what we're all about. And then we provide opportunities for people to embody those values during the day and during the evening off time as well.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you for allowing me to go just a little bit deeper here. Hang tight. We're going to invite our second guest speaker up here, Dave George, to go even deeper after his presentation with some more questions. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon. Thank
Kirby,
you, Jim.
thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, well, welcome to part 2 of our Q&A here with this month's webinar on identifying next generation leaders. Sitting down with Dave George, the Director of Manufacturing with BTD. Dave, thanks for carving out the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
So a handful of questions for you. Appreciate you presenting. If people haven't seen that, they should actually go back, watch that, then jump into this. I wanted to talk to you about confusion around leadership versus technical skills, rewards, recognition, causes behind the leadership gap. I got a handful of things. Let's start with the confusion around technical skills versus the leadership gap first. So, I mean, I see manufacturers confuse leadership potential with technical skills, unfortunately, all the time. I'm sure you see it too.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Unpack it.
Well, I think it starts with you're looking with leadership, you're looking for problem solving ability, and technical skills allows a person to solve problems really fast technically. The difference when I see as you're moving into leadership is now you have to problem solve through people. So it's a totally different skill set, in my opinion. It's problem solving, but it's problem solving through people. So it takes motivation, it takes listening, it takes just a whole bunch of different skill sets. So that's the confusion. Is it just problem solving has to completely change the shape, in my opinion.
And it's because you're trying to think what they're thinking versus you know what you're thinking, and so it adds a layer of complexity.
Correct, and not trying to solve it for the people, right? You're trying to you're getting into situations where that leader will not grow people if they're solving their problems, and so they have to ask good questions. That's a different skill set than than technical problem solving. Yeah.
Okay, what do you think gets rewarded more, experience or potential, and then why is it?
Yeah. Experience gets rewarded more than potential because it's easier to see. So we just talked about identifying future leaders. Go no further than if you like football like I do, and you're looking at Dan Campbell, the Lions, and people thought he was a joke of a coach, nobody saw his potential and what he could do as a leader because it was more of what you could visibly see beforehand. So there's a whole bunch of things that have to be added on and skills you have to learn and some things that you can't necessarily see. So I think you have to be very purposeful with it. You have to really sit down and talk about it because you're gonna see you're gonna miss all kinds of people by just rewarding people that have just been doing what maybe just using their experience to get through. So I think that's the whole thing is you just can't see it. That makes sense.
It does, but I want to dig a little bit here. Has there been someone on one of your teams that you've worked with, or you mentioned Kaizen events, where you really saw the potential, even though maybe it wasn't demonstrated in the moment?
Yeah.
And yet you just intuitively go,
Yeah.
there's a lot of potential with this individual.
Yeah, I think those are cases when you do see it. I think there's hidden leaders everywhere. Again, if you believe in the Remy and the Ratatouille, the model, yes, I've seen it. I guess I'm trying to put my finger on a specific one. There was multiple Kaizen events, and we'd have people co-lead.
Yeah.
You would see them kind of come out of their shell and just say certain things. So that's kind of where I would. Those are pieces where you just have to look. You got to be looking. You got to have written down what you're looking for, because otherwise it will be hidden.
Got it. And you shared some of those things to look for in your presentation. One of the things I've always looked for is that other people go to them. I'm like, your title may not say leader, but if other people are going to you for direction, guidance, advice, whatever it may be, I'm thinking I got potential here.
You do. We just had that situation. I mean, at BTD, we've got those situations everywhere. People are the informal leader. They're the spokesperson for their thing. They don't say they want to be a leader. And a lot of times those are like the fun ones because you're like, hey, I think you have it.
Yeah.
There's something there. Let's pull it out and let's do a little more. Those are fun ones.
I know sometimes they're like, no, no, no. And you're like, but yet you're like, you have this.
Yeah. They're already doing it
Yeah.
in a lot of cases. So it's just adding a few pieces onto it.
Okay, let's talk about the leadership skills gap, and then what do you think is causing it? I just wanted to go deeper into that one because I see it, and so I wanted to ask you. Are the future leaders not there, or is it because current leaders aren't willing to let go, or is it the black light fallacy that I just laid out here? Because I'm laying out these two options. Ultimately, is it option 3? Is there some other cause behind the leadership skills gap?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that's actually one thing I was going to touch on. Yeah, I was going to touch on that. If you believe in the Remy theory, then they're all over. And I think it's a combination. It's probably our current leaders not willing to let go. Yes, you have to let go if you're going to grow people. So that's a piece of it. I think they're there. So I think the first question you asked are they there or not? They're there. Leaders do have to let go earlier than they think.
Mhm.
They have to let people grow. But there's all kinds of there's a bunch of things behind that. But I think you if you see it like if you look for the Remys, reject let things go a little more, you'll find them.
Yeah.
You'll find them.
How have you been able to let go? I'm sure there's been things that you've wanted to hang on to, and then you've eventually let go.
Mhm.
What has enabled you to let go?
Yeah. So I think if you have good information and you can sit back and just kind of watch from afar, that allows you to let go. I think if you have lack of information, it really hurts leaders' ability to let go. So I think having a strong systems and information is top of leaders. You can actually just not become a micromanager. I think what you find out is if you lack data information, a lot of times you have to spend your time at a level or two below where you want to be, and you'll end up not letting go. So I think good systems and data will promote letting go. I think that's one of the key ones.
Okay. So then for those leaders looking to identify next generation leaders, should they prioritize cultural fit, like you're a good fit on the team, or, whoa, there's a lot of potential here. It could be disruptive, and that's what we need going forward.
Mhm.
What do you think?
What's your company's need? So I think there you have to ask and start yourself, what's the problem you're trying to solve? I think you need cultural fit. I think you need disruptive potential. It depends, but you might need more than that. So I think if you look at that, go back to that black-white fallacy, it could be, make sure it's not an either-or thing. I think you can have all those things, but just be very deliberate with what you're trying to develop.
It's the black-white fallacy.
Mhm.
Got it.
Yes.
Did I
say it wrong?
I said it wrong
Oh, yeah.
earlier. So
Black-white, either-or, the black-white either-or fallacy. Yep. Common everywhere. If you actually look for it, you'll see it everywhere. It's one of my favorite things to look out for in the world in general, actually, and for leadership development.
Right. I mean, I could totally relate to what you're talking about. I thought you had called it something else. So if anyone else picks up on what I said earlier, we just know it's the black-white fallacy.
Black-white, either-or, yes, the either-or fallacy, yes.
Okay, here's my last one for you. So this is one I see all the time, so I wanted to get your 2 cents on it. A lot of manufacturers want to develop their people, and yet they fall into this trap of like check the box type development. So you mentioned in your presentation, the C component first, identify first, and then act, and then but not falling into that trap of, well, just send everybody through the same thing. How can manufacturers really make sure that they have the best training for their people and avoid checking the box?
Yep. So remember that training is a countermeasure to the problems you're having. If you're just putting the same training out, that means you're having the exact same problems as the previous year. And I would say sometimes people need fundamentals, and that needs to be brought back in. And there's a lot of belief that you need to have some fundamentals continually going through. But I think if you start with the problems you're trying to solve, that will help you guide your next level. Like that's one of the things we're doing at BTD is we're saying, what's next year's strategy look like? Where are our little gaps in our teams? And then making sure we target it to those people. The other thing I would say is make sure you're adding continuous improvement at the end of your sessions. What was good, what wasn't good? We've actually taken the feedback from our leads and said, hey, they've said things where they want to maybe improve from that. You can't have any sacred cows or sacred trainings, or they are the customer, right? People that you're growing are the customer, as well as your leaders who are trying to like set the direction of where you're trying to grow with that team. And so if you follow your leaders, you listen to your customers,
Mhm.
you're going to improve all the time and not check the box. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'll build on that as we wrap here. I've just seen a lot of companies say, "Hey, let's train everyone in identifying and eliminating waste." Okay, that's
Mhm.
fair. And then let's train everyone in improving communication skills.
Mhm.
Okay, that's fair. All leaders are great communicators.
Mhm.
But then every round, every cohort, they say, "Okay, how could we make this a little bit better?" The training itself. So it may start with a standard, but to avoid that check the box, they're always tweaking for the next cohort to go
Exactly.
through.
Exactly.
So the CI component, even
Yes.
though everyone's getting developed.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you allowing everyone and myself here to answer or to share a couple more questions and
Yeah.
go deeper in
Yeah.
sharing this month.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Hey, if you liked this webinar and you like these real world examples and want to go even deeper into not just identifying, but then developing your own set of leaders, and you want to avoid that check the box like we just talked about, check out our custom training. We've got a box below the player here. You can fill out that box and we'll send you just a little bit more about our custom training solutions. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next month.